Hello, my name is Millian Giang Pham. I'm currently an assistant professor of studio art at Auburn University in the Department of Art and Art History. Today, I want to talk to you about my current solo exhibition at Strata Gallery entitled Uneasy Abstraction. There are two-dimensional components such as embroideries and printouts on pedestals, as well as floor installations. I want to go ahead and talk about my embroideries. These start out as reflections on very oppressive systems in which I had existed in a previous job that led me to reflect on what it means to be successful, what it means to perform well through performance evaluation metrics that unfairly judged people like me who are women of color. This was a very clumsy first attempt at embroidery, but it really captures the spirit of what it means to work hard. I continued to experiment with many embroidery methods using a multitude of different mediums: acrylic paint, cotton thread, beads, and in this particular case, punch needle embroidery. Many of the works touches on themes of institutional critique. And by institutional critique, I mean these systems that have been placed to favor a few over others. So much of the text touches on those ideas. The text in my work are not readily legible. The idea is that in order to navigate these spaces successfully, I had to figure out these puzzles that were not readily apparent to me. So the texts themselves are obscured, made illegible, and in essence made into a visual puzzle. So these texts play with images as well as verbal language. In addition, I wanted to play with the idea of negative and positive space and what it means to switch back and forth between reading negative and positive space and verbal and visual language. Many of these collage investigations, which I did in conjunction with my embroideries, were to get ideas out very quickly while still touching on those same issues that now have morphed into a larger institutional critique, looking at the larger systems and the intersections of those systems that reveal the oppressiveness and the barriers that were set in place to keep certain populations and certain groups down, whether that was done intentionally or through just pure negligence. Many of the images that are being used in these collages are exotic fruits that I grew up eating in Vietnam, and I still desire to eat them. However, being and existing in the United States from the age of 7 onward, I quickly learned that not everything that is different about me would be embraced. Much of my investigation plays with the ideas of images and text, negative and positive space, and also trying to find a sense of belonging by negotiating what it means to be different, what it means to have to continually work very hard in order to exist and be successful. In addition to finding a sense of belonging and also navigating these complex systems, it's also about finding languages and systems and approaches that work with visual choices of abstract artists. In this case, I borrowed the color palette and approaches of Mondrian. This work, Prophet Prophet, is also another abstract-inspired composition, this time by Rothko's number 10 composition. In addition to working with these texts that I have come across that touches on themes of bureaucracy and institutional critique, I also collaborate with Broadsided Press by pairing up my artwork in response to a poem. This work, Refuse Refuge, is very salient to the existing as a millennial, and the rate of success is so low in comparison to previous generations. This is one wall of the current exhibition, the one you see right behind me. This wall shows the early investigations and moves on to more of a negative and positive space investigation with this wall ending within the last 2 years. Having said that, many of these collages and embroideries were done in the last 4 years, so it is relatively very new. On the floor of the gallery is a tape installation utilizing the same visual strategies that could be found in many of my embroideries. As with all of my work, whether it is collage, embroideries, or floor installation, the solutions to each of these visual puzzles are presented to the viewer via the title of the work. In this instance, the title of the work is presented in a solutions worksheet instead of an image list or a price list. Situated around the floor installation are these pedestals in which the viewer can stop at every so often to read broadsides that combines my art with other poets' work. This view shows a broadside in which my artwork, my cyanotype, was chosen for what Broadsided Press called a switcheroo. In a switcheroo, my artwork became the stimulus for poetry. So the viewer are allowed to take a broadside that is available on each of these pedestals. There are a total of 6 broadsides. All of them are my artwork, but paired with different poets' works. Finally, I want to share a sample of what it feels like to move in this labyrinth. One last component of this exhibition is a cyanotype collaboration. Attendees to the show in person, or those who can't make it to Santa Fe but still want to contribute from afar, can submit 3 words or fewer describing something that placed pressure on you. Submissions will be looked at the end of the show. Those who contributed their words can get credit and a cyanotype if their words are chosen. It is through a Google Form submission, or if you are in the gallery in physical space. I hope you all get a good sense of the show, especially if you couldn't make it to the gallery. Thank you for viewing, and I hope you continue to support Strata Gallery. This is Millian Giang Pham. Thank you so much for tuning in today.